worldwide acting experience because she had her first screen test while a student at the very appropriately named Hollywood High School. A career in films and television followed, of course, but it was her role alongside Robert Wagner in the hugely successful series Heart to Heart, which brought her worldwide fame. But nowadays she devotes much of her time to the conservation of African wildlife at her own game reserve in Kenya. However, the actor's life can still lure her away from wildlife because currently she's in rehearsals for the touring production of the hit musical The King and I. So will you please give the biggest welcome straight from rehearsals to Stefanie Powers. Absolutely exhausted from all the rehearsals?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I'm at that point in the stage of the rehearsals where I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning, and I couldn't get back to sleep until 6, and all I could hear was, shall we dance?
Shall we dance?
Shall we dance? You know, I could hear all the music. Everything was, you know, something was going on in that computer up here, and it was all...
Because you're really ready to open where, in Edinburgh? That's your first venue?
Edinburgh. Yes, Edinburgh for 6 weeks and Manchester for 5.
How exciting.
Good houses, wonderful. I've never been to Scotland, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I
was wondering, because I think, particularly in this country, we put people in boxes, you know, Stefanie Powers, the actress. Are people surprised that you sing?
People, you know, it's that strange preconceived notion. Why is it that the singer can act, but when you know somebody principally as an actor, it's always a surprise that they can sing. And sometimes not acceptable that they can sing. I know that in the world of records, a recording artist, Barbra Streisand was a recording artist before she was a movie star. She was in the theater singing and performing before she was in films. But she still has a very active career in all mediums. And yet it's very difficult to go the other way. Very difficult. But I remember I began in West Side Story as a dancer who sang. Now I'm a singer who dances because I can't get my leg that high anymore.
But did you, for example, train? I mean, is that what you were going to be originally? That was it,
yeah. That's my first love.
Dancer and singer.
That was my first love. Well, Bebe Neuwirth is a perfect example. Bebe made such a hit on the show Cheers, television show Cheers, and when she went back to Broadway to do the original revival of Chicago, everybody said, wow, but she had been doing that all along. So
what musicals have you been in, say, on Broadway or touring in the States?
Most of the time I did them on tour. It was, let's see, West Side Story, of course, was the first, my first job when I was 15. Then I toured in Oliver, I toured in My Fair Lady, and I toured in Annie Get Your Gun.
Good musicals.
Good music.
And so is The King and I.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Lovely.
It's such a gift. I mean, it's such a pleasure and such a privilege to be able to do this
and
music.
Presumably you knew all the songs anyway, so...
Well, I knew them, but I didn't know them, if you know what I mean, for performing.
So when it comes to all the movement and all those huge skirts, and, you know, do the costumes get in the way sometimes?
Well, the costume weighs 12 pounds. And there it is. There it is now, and it has a momentum. You see how the skirt is flying around? Once it gets going, you have to go. You have to be very sure-footed.
And who is your king?
Oh, he's lovely. Ron Hebert is from America, and he had understudied the king in New York, and was in the company there, and then came here and understudied the man who actually took over and did it last.
And what happens in terms of all the little children? Because normally you've got about 2 or 3 casts, but will they be actually cast from London, or do you use children from local areas? The
majority are cast from London, but there are 2 principal children who come from Edinburgh who will be playing with us there, and they're wonderful. They had their first day of rehearsals today. They were so scared, the poor things. When it came time for me to take the boy's hand, it was glued to his side. He was so petrified.
I love the bit where they all come out from under your skirt.
Yeah, they're adorable. They're so sweet.
But there's so much about your life. I mean, I know quite a bit about your conservation in Kenya, with the William Holden Foundation, of course, which you all set up. But I did not know that in your dim, distant past you were a bullfighter.
Well, that is a dim, distant past. It was a long, long time ago, and it sprang out of something that was very natural. I spent a lot of time on bull ranches. My brother was at school in Mexico, and we knew some people who had farms and ranches where they raised these noble fighting bulls, and I got out there and they let us cape a few animals.
And what did you fight under? What was your name?
Oh, I had a nickname called Pecosa. Pecas means freckles.
The freckled one.
Yeah.
But when you were, obviously, as you spend so much time in conservation, do you find it odd that you were ever involved in bullfighting?
Yes, now I do. Yes, I do, you know. But then, you know, of course, I used to, like many people, we all thought it was great to have a mink coat. Now I think the animals look better with their clothes on than with their clothes off. And most of the time I think I've never seen a woman that looked better in the furs than the animals did.
And so how often do you go to Kenya now? How do you keep on top of all of that?
It's not always easy, and it depends on what's taking priority. Conservation work is always in my next breath, you know. It's always working on the other side of my brain when the other is occupied with creativity. It's one of those things which I'm involved with deeply and most intensively. Most particularly this year, I began an association with Jaguar Motor Cars last year, and we are working to create a program. They already started to spend quite a little money to preserve the Jaguar cat. And it is a precedent-setting thing that an automobile company who has long been using an animal's name as its logo has actually, for the first time, as Jaguar is doing, done something constructive about the preservation of their logo. And in this case, they've done considerable work. Right here, right home, in our own backyard right here, in Chester, at the Chester Zoo, you will see a beautiful Jaguar, the name Jaguar, over the Jaguar house that is at the Chester Zoo, housing jaguars which are highly endangered. And what we will eventually do is produce a full-spectrum conservation program with their funding.
But isn't it strange in a way, because you were saying how the compartments of your mind, although you're doing a musical or acting or whatever it is, you know, there's a major part of you that's over in Kenya. The contrast between life in LA or New York or London,
well, I think
between that life in Kenya is huge.
It's huge, Gloria. But I think of it, sometimes I think of my life as a television set. And every time I turn the channels, I get another program with a full cast of characters. And the only difficulty is when a character from one channel jumps over and appears in another channel, and I'm walking down the street and somebody who's not supposed to be there walks toward me and says, "Ah, hello," and I'm completely blank. You know?
Do you love, though, getting back to Kenya?
I do, yes.
What is it, a kind of a piece that comes across? Or?
Well, not exactly, because I'm very, very busy there, and I work very hard at the foundation and keeping up with our programs and keeping on top of all of our education and conservation, in situ conservation work. So it's not really a holiday. I don't just go there to sit back. But you know, every night I take a walk. We have a landing strip on the game ranch, which is goes uphill, and we're at 7,000 feet above sea level. So I do my little jogging at night in the evening with my dogs. And it's a mile long, so I do a nice big mile jog uphill at 7,000 feet, my heart pumping. And then I walk back and look at the sun setting across the Laikipia Plateau, and it feels like the dawn of man.
I bet it does.
So it's a very soulful feeling.
Now, as you well know, in this country, Heart to Heart is repeated all the time.
Thank
Similarly,
God.
in America. So it's still very, very popular. And we couldn't have you in the studio without actually seeing just a little clip.
Oh, great.
Here it is.
Here is a little token of my appreciation.
Hey, thanks, Countess. And, do svidaniya.
Do svidaniya.
What was that all about?
Oh, that was Danny.
Danny?
Mm-hmm.
What are you, a stowaway?
Oh, darling, when you were giving Miss Goodrich her warm milk, Danny was bringing me my hot buttered rum. He's the night shift.
I thought I was the night shift.
Oh, well, you are the night shift. And the day shift, and the swing shift.
You don't remember that?
No, it must have been a while ago.
Don't you remember all those kisses?
Oh, God, I remember all the kisses, yes.
He was a good kisser, I take
A
it.
good kisser, still
I
is.
bet he was. When you look back on Heart to Heart, though, do you appreciate the success that it was for all those years?
You know, we were working so hard at the time that we didn't have any perspective. And then some years after the show went off the air, we went on the road with, RJ and I went on the road doing a play called Love Letters. And then we really got the full impact because people would come backstage to have us sign things and all. And it was just overwhelming, the response. And it's continued ever since.
Overwhelming worldwide, I should think.
Yes.
Well, I suppose I better let you go because you've got rehearsals. and why did you decide to only stay in it for 11 weeks or whatever it is?
I have as you know, I have other commitments, and originally there was some possibility that I was going to do the last 3 months in the West End and then do this 11 weeks. So it would have made a much larger package, but the things got confused, and then they came back to me and asked me if I would do this. And I really was very disappointed the first time around when the negotiations fell apart. And I'm happy to be doing it because I think this may very well be, certainly in my lifetime, the last time the King and I goes around in this generation, because this is the tail end of the production, which began about 6 years ago in Australia with Hayley Mills. It was such a fabulous production that somebody informed Mary Rogers, who was Richard Rogers' daughter, to go to Australia and see this production because it was so superlative. She did, and because of her, they were able to get backing. She really championed them, and they were able to get backing insufficient to be able to carry on with this production. So what we are doing is actually this new generation, and it's the last of it, so it probably won't be done for another 20 years.
Well, I have a funny feeling you're going to thoroughly enjoy it. So Edinburgh again, what date? April?
April the 22nd we open.
Great.
For 6 weeks.
Stefanie, I'm so pleased you took time out to come and see us.
Thank you.
Back to Shall We Dance?
Yes. Da, da, da,
Da, da, da, da. Ladies and gentlemen, Stefanie Powers. Now, after the break, our chef Alan Coxon bangs on about the great British sausage. Do you like British sausages?
I'm a vegetarian.
Of course you are. Forget that. Oh, we've got veggie sausages.
Oh, good.
Anyway, there is a big revival now in sausages, which apparently is down to quality and not quantity. So all will be revealed right after the break.